welcome back to this video. This one is paper 1-2 of November 2021 for Math D. Now if you guys are also interested in the Mauritian Creole version, I have a link in the description down below. Now without further ado, let's move on to questions number 1. So here we have what? We have to evaluate this square roots. And the first thing we can realize here, hey, what is that thing inside? So we can rewrite this as such, right? You can say this is also equal to that will be 49 times 100. Now we can definitely break this down. That will be 49. This is 100. And that will be 7 times 10. And that will be 70 as your answer in part A. Now for part B, evaluate this one. So 5 power 3 is the same thing as saying 5 times 5 times 5. That will be 25 times 5. That will be 125. So 125 will be your answer for part B, and that is your question number 1. Now, let's move on to part 2. So work out this one. Now, as we can see, there's many operations. We have minus, plus, multiply, and then brackets as well. So we have to use BODMAS in this case, just to know which one will we be doing first. So in this case, B is for brackets. We have to do this one first. So minus 5 bracket is still minus 5. That will be like this. Now afterwards we have to choose, that will be multiply obviously before addition or subtraction. So multiply by 7. So 7 multiplied by minus 35, that will be minus 5, that will be minus 35. Okay, and then here we have plus and then minus 8. So minus 8 plus minus 35 will be minus 43, and that will be your question number 2. Now let's move on to question number 3. So we have to shade one more small triangle so that the shape has a rotational symmetry of order 3. Now, we have to understand a full rotation is 360 degrees. And order is 3 divided by 3, that will be 120 degrees. So which means that every time you rotate this object by 120 degrees, we have to see the same thing. For example, right now, see, this is on top, right? Let's have this as a reference point. And let's say this is my midpoint somewhere over here. Now, if I rotate, I'm supposed to see the same thing. So if I do this, rotate by 120, this is on top, something has changed. It seems that something here is missing, right? So let's try again. 120, we're supposed to see this all the time, like these two things and these two things. And if you do this, these two and these two. So basically, we have to shade this one so that when you rotate by 120 through the center every time, 120, you see duck, 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 here you go, and same thing, and finally here you go, you get the idea. So we just have to play with this and then see which one we have to shade so that it makes sense and it can have a rotational symmetry of order 3. Let's move on to question number 4. So here we have to write down the name of the solid form from each net. Again, in this question you have to use your imagination and you have to keep trying. For example, here you can clearly see that if you were to fold this up, you will have something like this. I guess it will be a box, right? Now, this one will be a rectangular box. Do you agree? Yeah, because this one is the length is more than the is longer than the width, so it will be a rectangular box. So in that case, that will be called a cuboid. Now, if you were to close this one, you close this up, 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 and up, it will be forming a pyramid, obviously, right? And this one, finally, you will have a shape something like this, right? Let's have some imagination. That will be something like this, right? That will be this, this, and this. So this is what we call a prism. When this face and the face in the back are the same and they are joined by a straight line, we can call this a prism. And that is your question number 4. Now let's move on to question number 5. So here we have what? We have A, B, C, D. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H are two lines which are parallel, which means they are in the same direction. All right, cool. Now we have CF and BG intersect at X. So the point X is right here. So, and then we have all the following angles given to us. Now question number 1 is we have to find CXG. So CXG will be this angle over here. So how do you find this? Pretty easy. We do realize that we have a straight line here, BXG, right? We understand the angle over the line have to be 180. which means this one have to be what? 180 minus 81, and that will be what? So let's do this together. That will be 7 over here, 10, that will be 9, and that will be 9. So your value will be 99 for the angle CXG. Now for part B, BCX, where's BCX? So BCX, so we have to find this angle. Now this one, obviously we have to use this property, that these two lines are in the same direction. So if you have two lines in the same direction and they are joined by a straight line, we understand that the alternate angles will be the same. So this and this are the same, and this and that will be the same as well. So using this logic, we can see this and this have to be the same, hence this has to be 53. Now for part C, we have to find ABX. So ABX, so it will be this one. So how can you find this angle? So pretty easy as well. As you can see, this angle will be the value of this angle. And why is that? Because again, it is because of alternate angles. Because we can see these lines are parallel. As you can see here, this and this have to be the same. This and this are the same. So let me draw the same way as well, so you guys can understand this better. So this is the lines, and this is joined by a straight line. Now, as we have seen before, if these two lines are in the same directions, the alternate angles, this and this, have to be the same, but also this and this have to be the same. In this case, we only care about this one, so this one is the same as this one. Now, this is a straight line. Again, straight line angle over the straight line will be 180. So which means this have to be 180 minus 46. So let's do this together. That will be 7, 10. 10 minus 6 will be 4, and that should be 3, 1. So 134 will be your answer for part C. Now let's move on to question number 6. So part A, what do we have? We have to work out this one. So again, this is not very tough. We just have to do this step by step. For example, we have 69. Now divide is basically divide, right? It's 0.3. Now first thing first, we can divide by 3. That will be 0.1. That will be 3. Sorry, that will be a 2, 3. Right? So 6 will be times 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then this will be 3. Now you have 23 over 0.1. Now, one way of trying to move this over here is we can multiply by 10. So when you multiply by 10 here, we have to also multiply by 10 on top, okay? So that will become 230 over 1. So your answer will be 230. That will be part A. Now for part B, we have to work out this one and provide your answer as a mixed number in its simplest form. So one by one, let's first expand this one. So 1 times 7 is 7 plus 4 is 11. So 11 over 7 divided by 3 over 5. Now whenever we have fraction dividing each other, we want to change the divide to multiply, right? So first thing first, leave this one the same and change that to multiply. Then we have to flip this upside down. That will be 5 over 3. Okay? And then now we just have to solve. So that will be what? 11 times 5 will be 55 divided by 21. Now we can test. So 21, how many times 21 we have in 55? We can try, so times 2, that will be 2, 42. 21 times 3, that will be 3, 63. So this will be too much, so we have to go with 2. So the whole number here will be 2. And remaining will be what? 55 minus 42, that will be 3 and 1. So 13 over 21. So your answer will be this as a mixed number in its simplest form. Now let's move on to question number 7. So by writing each number correct to 1SF, estimate the value of this fraction. So here what do we have? We have this number, 8230, correct to 1SF. So 1SF will leave the first one by itself. And we ask if this one, the second one, is more or equal to 5. The answer is no. So we'll make it become 0. It will be 8000. Now here we have 0.64. Here we have an exception because it starts with 0. We ignore this one, and here we leave the first SF by itself, and then we ask if this one is more or equal to 5. The answer is no, so that will be 0.6 and becomes 0 for the rest. And finally, for the last number, we have this. So here we have 1 SF. We leave this one, and we ask if this one is more or equal to 5. The answer is yes. So if it is yes, we have to add 1 to the beginning. So 1 plus 1 will be 2, and the rest will become 0. So replace back in your main equation, you will have 8000 times 0.6 divided by 20. So simplify, that will be, here you go, divided by 2, that should be 400. So 400 times 0.6, that will be what? That will be, so first we can multiply by 10, that will become 40 times 6, and that will be 240. I hope that makes sense. We can send one of the zeros, one of the tens here, so we can move this over here. That will become 6, that will become 40, and then we can multiply. It will be 240 as the estimate of this fraction. Now let's move on to question number 8. So here we have to write this one in meters. So we have to understand that 1 km is equal to 1,000 meters. So obviously 0.06 km we have to multiply by 1,000. That will be what? So move 1, 2, 3, that will be 60 meters. Let's try again. So 0.06 times 1,000. So that will have to move by 1, 2, and 3. Right? So that will become 60 meters. Now for part B, we have to convert this to this. So first thing first, we have to know 1 meters is equal to 100 centimeters. Now we care about square, so we have to square both sides. That will become 1 meter square, and that will become 100 square centimeter square. Right? So basically that will be 1 meter square is equal to this much centimeter square. Right? So now we know the conversion. Now we can use this. 7 meters square have to be multiplied by 7. That should be 70,000 centimeters square. Now for 9, we have to write this down as a product of its prime factors. So 216 divided by 2, that will be 1 and 0.8 divided by 2, that should be 54 divided by 2, 27, and 27 is obviously divided by 3, that should be 9, and divided by, so 9 divided by 3, that should be 3. So finally 216 have to be 2 power 3 times 3 power 3. Alright, now let's move on to question part B. So now we have two positive integers which are more than 25. This is one of the conditions. Now again, we don't know the integers. Let's call them x and y for now. They are more than 25. Now, we know the LCM is 216. Now we know 216 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. Right. Now the HCF is 18. So what are the prime factors of 18, right? Let's see. Divide by 2, that should be 9. Divide by 3, that should be 3. So 18 is equal to 2 times 3 times 3. Now we have to understand what does it really mean to be LCM and HCF, or how do we find them usually? So from that understanding, we do realize the numbers x and y. Since the HCF is 18, they both must have at least 18 in the numbers. For example, we can safely say x has 2 times 3 times 3, and y has 2 times 3 times 3. So from this is the least for HCF. Now from that, now we can move on to look at the rest. So obviously we can take this out and this out, this out, this out, this out, this out. So what remains here is we have, from here we have 2 times 2 and times 3. So now we have to decide where can we put these numbers and these, right? So now we can definitely, we can pass it around. For example, for us to have an LCM of 216, we can put this somewhere and this on the other number. So x could be, we can send this over here, times 2, and we can send this one over here. So you can have an LCM of 216. Look, this question is not tough, it's just that you have to understand how usually you find LCM and HCF. Now, given the HCF is 18, we understand that both numbers have to have 18 in them. That's the first step. That's the base. Now, both has 18 in them. And what is the rest from the 18? So apart from the 18 outside, we also know that we have the LCM, the least common factor, the lowest common factor is 216. Now, removing the 18 from that, you will see from the 216, we have remaining 2 times 2 times 3. Now, for it to be possible to have an LCM of 216, we also have to give the numbers these things, right? 2 times 2 times 3 somewhere, because it came from somewhere. Now, obviously, we have to give these one to one of them, and these one to the rest of the other one. Now, from this calculation, you will see that 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 times 9, that should be 72. and this one will be 54. So the two numbers can be 72 and 54, and they are both more than 25. So basically this, you have to understand the concept behind our finding the HCF and LCM. So try this again, understand how do you find this. Or the best thing you can do is that once you have those numbers down, try to find the LCM of those numbers and see how you will find them, and you will understand better how you solve this question. Now let's move on to question number 10. So here we have a graph of triangle A and B, as you can see right here. Describe fully the single transformation that maps A onto B. So definitely by elimination, you can see this have to be a translation. The size did not change. It just slides to the left. So basically that will be a translation. You have to write translation. And with column vector is what? So this point became this point. So I have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So 4 to the right and 2 to the bottom. That'll be 4 minus 2. Okay. Now for part B, the triangle A is mapped onto triangle C by rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise, center 0, 0. So center 0, 0 is right here, right? And then we have to rotate this by 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So one way is we understand that this will have to be in this direction. Now in this question, you can always use there's many methods, right? You can use your compass, your your tools to help you out to draw this, or you can just use counting, because here we know that it is 90 degrees and also the center is 0, 0. For example, we can count. So this point moving to this, that is 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. So basically, if you want to rotate by 90 degrees anti-clockwise, it will become 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is one of the ways of doing this. You don't have to learn this way, but I'm just showing you this is one of the ways you can do this simply. So now for this one, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So basically we're just inversing the numbers. For example, here it was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So we now begin with 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? So same idea here. We have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So this will be your triangle. That will be C. Again, this is a way that I was able to do here is because we have a anti-clockwise rotation, center 0, 0, and it will be 90 degrees. And because of that, it is easier to do these kind of steps or methods. But usually what I will do is I will check, if I have time, I will check using the formula. You have to know that usually it's matrix times object, that will be image, right? So we just have to know the matrix for rotation, anti-clockwise 90 degrees, and then the object is basically triangle A, and then you will have to multiply, you will get the triangle over here. It's up to you guys. Or you can use your tools to draw and then find out the image. Now for part C, triangle A is mapped onto triangle D by enlargement. Here we know the transformation already. The scale factor is 3 and the center is 5 minus 5. So 5 minus 5 will be right here. This is the center. Now how do we draw enlargement? So pretty easy. So first thing first, let's connect the center to the vertices of these triangles. For example, this will be connected with this one. Again, you have to use a pencil obviously, because this one is not very accurate. So I will advise using a pencil. Let me draw this properly again. Or you can use you can also use formula to solve this question. It is up to you, your preference. So this will be drawn with this, and we have to extend this here so we can find the image. Okay, cool. So now we have drawn this. We can safely go back and read the instructions how to have a scale factor of 3, which means if this was 1, right, this is 1 square right here, we have to multiply by 3 because the scale factor is 3, that will become 3. So 1 will become 3. So we follow this and see where it is 3. This is 2 right here, and this will be 3 right here. You can see the 3 squares. So this will become this right here. Right? And for this one, this was 2 multiplied by 3. That will be 6. So we know this is right here. So let's make 6. That will be 2. That should be over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here. Actually, we have to continue this line to show that it also touches these vertices. And finally, we have to join these two, obviously, because we're trying to form a triangle, right? This will be your triangle, label as D. So you have to label them in the end. Again, this is one of the ways of solving this question. You can always use your formula, which is matrix times object equal to image. Now let's move on to question number 11. So in this question, it will be a locus question, and unfortunately I don't have my tools right now, so I cannot draw this for you guys. However, you should be able to do this. It's pretty easy. Here we have to draw a perpendicular bisector. Here we have to draw a circle, radius 3 centimeters, and we have to shade where is the tree. Basically, we have to satisfy both conditions. So you will have something like this. This will be a line. This is your perpendicular bisector, right? And your circle will be somewhere over here, right? It may touch or may not touch. We'll have to look at the actual diagram. And then when you shade, it has to be over here. Okay, something like that. At least it is an idea of what you should be expecting. Okay, so let's move on to question number 12. So here what do you have? So the diagram shows a rectangle ABCD, okay, and E is a point on the diagonal AC such that DEC is 90. So here we have 90 degrees, but we also have to know that, hey, this is a rectangle. Obviously, all the angles over here have to be also 90. Right? Here you go. And what else? So we have to prove that triangle ADC is similar to triangle DEC. So DEC, again, we have to prove similarity. So one of the ways of proving that we can use by AAA, so by proving the corresponding angles are the same and hence they are similar. So what can we do right now is let's take out the triangles. So here we have the big one, ADC. So ADC. This is the big one. This is 90 over here. This is ADC, and the small one is this one. Okay, here you go. This is E, D, and C. Now, the goal here is to prove that the corresponding angle are equal and hence they are similar. So, first thing first, by observation, you can see that the angle ADC is equal to angle DEC because they are right angle triangles. Right angle triangles. I guess I spelled this wrongly, but you get the idea. Triangles. Or you can say the angle is 90 degrees just to show they are the same, which is this and this is. Now, also, you can realize that the angle here is the same as here. Why? Because it's the same angle, right? So you can say angle DCA is equal to angle ECD because they are common angle. Angle in common, common angle. Because it is the same angle in both triangles. So you can see here, the angle is here for ADC and the angle is here for DEC. It's the angle present in both triangles, so they are obviously the same. So obviously if you have these two are the same, so the rest will obviously be the same as well because it is the third angle of a triangle, obviously. So you can say DAC is equal to EDC. It is the third angle of a triangle. Obviously, if the first two are the same, the third one have to be the same as well, because we know the sum of the angles is 180, and by subtraction, you will find the last one to be the same as well. So by this, you can say by AAA, you have to write down the triangles are similar, right? That will be question number 12. Now let's move on to question number 13. So the mean of 5 numbers is 17. Okay, so how do you find mean usually? So mean is equal to the total divided by the number of numbers. So the mean is 17. The total we don't know. We know there's 5 numbers. So the total is equal to 17 times 5. So what is 17 times 5? Let's do this one by one. That will be 35 and that should be 85. 17 times 5 will be 85. This is the total of the 5 numbers. Now the numbers are listed in order of size, starting with the smallest, which means in ascending order. The 3 smallest are equal, so let's call the smallest numbers x. You would say the first 1, 2, and 3 numbers are equal, x, x, x. And the middle 3 adds up to 35, okay? And here we have what? We have the largest number is 4 times the smallest number. So we have 5 numbers in total, so we have the first 3. And 4 we don't know, so let's call this y. And the last one is 4 times the smallest number. So these are the numbers essentially. So x, 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 y, and 4x, according to the information given to you. Now we say the middle 3 numbers add up to 35. So the middle 3, this will be this. So that will be x plus y, that will be 2x plus y have to be 35. Right? According to the question, and we have that and this. So we have to solve a few equations here. Let's see. The total, how do you find the total? We have to add everything up to get this. So add everything up, that will give you what? That will give you. So 1, 2, 3x plus this, that will be 7x. Plus y will be 85. So y will become subject 85 minus 7x. So let's solve this. That will become, let's replace here. You will have 2x plus y. Y is equal to 85 minus 7x is equal to 35. Now we have 2x minus this, that will be minus 5x is equal to 35 minus 85. So 85 minus 35, that will be 0. That will be 50. So minus 50 will be your answer, because 35 minus this will become minus 50. So x will become the value of 10. And finally y will become 85 minus 70, that should be 15. So your number will be what? That should be right here 10, 10, 10, 15, and 40 as your answer. That will be how you can use the information to find these missing numbers. Okay, so let's move on to question number 14. The diagram shows a speed time graph for the start of a cyclist journey. So here we have a speed time graph. Let's see what happens. So first one, we have to find the acceleration in the first 20 seconds. So to find the acceleration, we have to understand that for a speed time graph, the acceleration is equal to the gradient. So in this region, we can use a triangle here to find the gradient. That will be what? The height will be 15 divided by the base, and that should be 3 over 4, which is 0.75. Okay, now for part B, we have to describe the motion of a cyclist between this and this. You can see time here, it is flat, so it means that it is moving with a constant speed of 15 meters per second. It is flat, right? You can see it's moving with the constant speed. Now for part C, we have to find the total distance traveled in the first 50 seconds. So you have to understand that in a speed time graph, the total distance traveled is area under graph. So we have to find this whole area. Again, you can break this down into pieces to find the area. For example, I can break this down here, here, and here to break this down. So it's easy for me. So I have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 to find my total distance traveled. So number 1 is area of a triangle. That should be half times base is 20, and times the perpendicular height, that should be 15. So that will be 150 for number 1. Number 2, area of a rectangle. So length is 10 times height will be 15, that should be 150 as well. And this one, area of a triangle, so half times length, that should be 50 minus this, that should be 20. And times height will be 10. That should be 100. And this one, area of a rectangle, length will be 20 times height will be 5, and that should be 100. So let's add everything together. You will have number 1 is 150 plus 150 plus 100 plus 100, and that should be 500 as your answer for your total distance traveled. This is only pretty easy step by step to find the area under graph. Now let's move on to question number 15. During 1 year, the value of a bicycle decreased from 200 to 160. We have to find the percentage decrease in the value of the bicycle. So pretty easy. Percentage decrease is equal to decrease over initial amount times 100. So what is the decrease? This minus this, that will be 40. What is the initial amount? It will be 200 times 100 to find the percentage, obviously. This will go away, this will go away. That will be 2, and that should be 20. Right, so simple division and multiplication. We can simplify, that should be 20% decrease from the initial pricing. Now let's move on to 16. We have to solve this one. Let's send all the n to one side. So you have 2n plus 6n more than 5 minus 23. So 23 minus 5 will be what? That should be 1, 10. 10 minus 5 is 5 plus 3 will be 8. And that should be 1. So basically that will be 8 and more than minus 18. 5 minus this will be minus this. N will be minus 18 divided by 8 divided by 2. That should be minus 9 over 4. Right? Makes sense, right? Okay. Now for part 17, we have to factorize this one. So the first step is definitely to rewrite this 3xy minus qy space 6px minus 2pq. Now for this two, you can see we have y in common. Take out y, you will have 3x minus q. Here we have 2 and p in common, right? So 6 is actually 2 times 3, so we have 2 and p in common. We can take out 2p. You will have 3x minus q remaining. Now we do realize this and this are the same, so you will have this remaining and factorize this outside. And this will be your factorization. So this comes from this, y plus 2p, okay? That will be question 17. Now let's move on to question number 18. So here we have what? We have the diagram shows a region ABC. Bam, 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 you can see right here. And the equation of the line AC is given to you by this, which is this one, right? Now we have to write down 3 inequalities that define the region. So first thing first, we have to find the equations of the line. What is the equation of this line? Pretty easy. It is a horizontal line. That should be y is equal to, the value here is 2. What is the equation of this line? It is a vertical line. So that will be x equal to, this value is minus 4. So one by one has to be more than this. So we will say has to be more or equal to 2. Again, you can say, you can write equal to because the line is not broken here. It is solid line. You can write this. And then for this one, has to be over here. So you can write x has to be more or equal to this, minus 4. And finally has to be below this one. So this one is AC, so y has to be less or equal to minus half x plus 5. Here you go for this one. Now will be question number 18. Now let's move on to question number 19. So here we have a circle, and let's see what can we do over here for this question. So A, B, C lie on the circle center O. We have the line PBQ is a tangent to the circle at point B right here. Now we have OCQ. OCQ is also a straight line. So cool. Let's see how can we find the value of x. So first thing first, we have to use this information because this is a tangent touching the circle at this point, and this point joins the point O. We have to understand this is 90. This is the first thing we have to understand. Now, given that BOQ is a triangle, this is 90, this is 36, this will be what? So we can find this out pretty easily. That will be 180 minus 90, that should be 90, minus 36, that will be what? 8, 10, 10 minus 6, that should be 4, and that should be 54. So this is 54 degrees for the angle at the center. Now again, we have to understand by theory, if angle at the center is 54, it means this angle has to be half the value because the angle of the center is always twice the angle right here. So this will be 27 as your answer. 54 divided by 2, that will be 27. And because of that, x have to be 27. It is because of the theory saying that the angle at the center has to be twice the angle here, which means the angle here has to be half the angle at the center. Now let's move on to question number 20. So here we have to find the inverse of this matrix. Let's first find its determinant. That will be 3 times 2 minus 2 times 1, right? So this minus this one. That will be 6 minus 2, and that should be 8. Now what is the adjoint matrix? We just have to change position first. 2 will go up, 3 will go down, change sign, you'll have this. And finally, the inverse will become the matrix divided by the determinant. So this will be your question number 20. Now let's move on to question number 21. So here we have the cumulative frequency diagram. Shows the masses m grams of 120 eggs. So in total, we have 120 eggs. All right, cool. Part on, we have to use the diagram to estimate the median. The median will be what? Will be halfway. It's the middle value. Half times the number of eggs. That will be 60th element. So obviously we have to use the graph. So 60th element will be right here. So that will be what value? Let's see. So of course you have to use a pencil for you, so you can have an accurate answer for this graph. That should be about 58. So for me it shows to be 58 grams. So you have to show the value here that you will put as your answer, obviously. So for you it might be 57, 59 should be around that value. Now for part 2, find the range. So if the range is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So how do you find this? That will be 3/4 times the number of eggs. That is 30, that should be 90th element. So 90th element will be what? Will be right here. All right, so you're almost done. That will be 62 as my upper quartile. And the lower quartile is the 1/4 times 120, then that should be the 30th element. So 30th element should be somewhere over here. So right here, and this is here. That will be 51 as the value according to my graph. So right here you go. Minus, so this minus this, that should be 11 for my interquartile range. Yours might be a bit different, but you should be around that value. Now for part B, eggs are described as large if their masses is 63 grams or more. So 63 will be right here, or more, it will be seen as large eggs. So we have to find how many of these eggs are large. So pretty easy, from 63, let's go all the way up to C. There you go, right here. For me, it shows to be about this value right here. Right? So this value is what? It is 98. So basically, from 98 and up, from this egg to up, because as you can see, from 63 and up, it is large eggs. Same way of thinking here, from this point and up, it will be large eggs. So what is this distance right here? So it will be 120 minus 98. That'll be 1, 10, that should be 2, 10, that should be 28. According to my graph, it shows to be, we have 28 eggs, which is large, which is seen as large. Now let's move on to question number 22. So here we have to solve this one. So first thing first, we have to realize that, hey, this is actually, we can make them become the same base. So 27 is 3 power 3, that will be 3k. And this is 9, will be 3 power 2. Now because they have the same base, we can just cancel the base out. You will have 3k equal to 2, so k will be 2 over 3. Now for part B, we have to simplify this one. Obviously here we have to see the power is negative. So we can just flip the inside upside down. That will be x power 8 over 16. Now what is 16? 16 is 2 power 4. So once we flip it upside down, this will become positive. And now we can simplify, that will be x power 2 over the value of 2. Right, makes sense, right? So that will be part B. Now for part 23, we have y is inversely proportional to x plus 1 square. We can rewrite this as y is equal to k over x plus 1 square. Now when x is equal to 1, y is 5, so replace 5 is here, k on top. Here we have 1 plus 1 is 2 square, that should be k over 4. Cross multiply, you will have the value of k to be 20. Now we have our equation, so y is equal to 20 over x plus 1 square. Now, now we have to find what? We have to find y when x is equal to 9. So replace. What is the value of y when x is equal to 9? So 9 plus 1 is 10. So 10 square will be 20 divided by 100. That should be 0.2. There you go. That will be your answer for part 23. Now let's move on to question number 24. Here we have f of x is equal to this and g of x is equal to this, right? Part A, we have to find this one. How would you find this? Pretty easy. We have to replace the value of x by 3. That will be 3 squared, that should be 9 plus 21 plus 4. That should be 18 plus 25, and that should be 43. Okay, and for this one, g inverse, we have to first let y equal to g of x. That will be 2x plus 6. Now make this become subject. That will be 2x is equal to y minus 6. Finally, x will become subject, divided by 2. So g of x is in terms of x. We have to write x minus 6 over 2. Now for this one, we have to solve this one, so let's replace. So f of x is equal to 2x squared plus 7x plus 4 minus g of x. 2x plus 6 is equal to 1. Simplify, that will be 2x squared plus 7x. Send this over here, 4 minus 1 will be plus 3. Minus 2 of x minus 6 have to be 0. So 2x squared, this minus this will become plus 5x, and minus 3 have to be 0. So 3 minus 6 will be minus 3. Now we have to definitely factorize and solve for the values of x. So factorize, 2x is 2x times x, 2x squared is 2x times x, 3 is 3 times 1. To get plus 5, we have to have plus 6 minus 1. So x will become the value of half, and x will also become value of minus 3. That will be part B of your question. Now let's move on to question number 25. So 40 students can take part in 3 activities. We have art, dancing, and gardening. Now for 5 do not take part in any of the activities. Okay, cool. So which means there's 5 people who doesn't do anything of any of those 3. So basically we have to put them outside, right? Makes sense. Now 12 do only art. Only art will be right here. 12 only art, nothing else, only art right here. Now we have 4 do dancing and gardening but not art. So dancing and gardening but not art. So it will be right here. And 1 does all 3. All 3 will be right here. It does everything. So this is the part 1 done. Now for part B, we have the Venn diagram right here. The ratio of x, y, z is 1 to 3. X, y, z is 1 to 3. Find the value of x, y, z. So here, pretty easy. Let's proceed one by one. We do know that in the end, we have 40 people in total. That's one thing we know. Now, we know how do you find 40 people? We have to add everything. For example, 12 plus 1 plus 4. That will be, so 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 12 is 22. 22 plus x plus y plus z have to give you the value of 40. So this is one thing we know for now. Now we know the ratio of these is this. So which means we know x is basically, so we have x, y, z, it is 1, 2, 2, 3. But now we can think of something to use here. For example, I can also say that x is just x for now. Since y is 2 times 1, which is 2 times x, that could be 2x. Since z is 3 times x, that could be 3x. So what if we replace everything in terms of x? It will be easier to solve. Let's replace here. You have 22 plus x, y is 2x, z is 3x. That will be 40. X plus 2x will be 3x. 3x plus 3x, that will be 6x, is equal to 40 minus 22. So 6x will be 18, x will be the value of 3. So finally, x will be 3, y will be 2x, and z will be 3x. So there you go. This will be the values of x, y, z. Now from C, one subset in the Venn diagram in part A has no students. So 0 will be right here. As you can see this one, how would you describe this set? It will be the set where this joined with this, but not this, right? Makes sense. So A, it will be what? If you see, this intersecting this one will be the whole thing right here, but not this one. So A intersecting with G and intersecting outside of D. It will not be inside, right? So at first, when you do A intersecting G, you will have this whole thing. But now we only care about this part, so you will have to be outside of D. That's why we have to put D dash. Now for part D, we have to find the number right here. How would you solve this? So here we have D union G. So D union G, so this whole thing first. And then intersecting A, we have this and this, we have to intersect with A. So it will be this one right here. That will be 0 plus 1 plus x. So 0 plus 1 plus x. That will be 0 plus 1 plus x is 3. And that should be 4 as your answer. Okay, and that is your question number 25. And that is the last question of this paper. So I hope that was somewhat helpful. As always, I will see you in the next videos.